I'm Zane. Welcome to Passionate Beauty Tales. Where are you tonight? Comment below. The first time she asked me to stay the night, my heart almost stopped. We were standing in her living room while a storm shook the windows. The couch behind me was already made up, like she had planned this. Emma stood a few feet away, in a soft sweater and jeans, her hair a little messy, her smile careful. "Do you want to stay here tonight?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but there was something under it, something that made my chest tight. For a second, all I could think was, if I say yes, nothing between us will feel the same again. My name is Alex Taylor. I am 26. I work as a software engineer at a tech firm in Portland, Oregon. Most days my world is a screen, a pair of headphones, and a list of bugs that never ends. The office is gray walls, bright lights, and tired faces. It is not a bad job. It is just heavy sometimes. The only thing that makes it feel human is Emma. Emma Lane is my team lead. She is 30, smart, fast, and somehow still kind in a place that burns people out. She trained me when I joined 3 years ago. She never made me feel stupid when I messed up. When a build broke at midnight, she stayed on the call with me until it was fixed. When I forgot to eat, she dropped a granola bar on my desk and walked away like it was nothing. Somewhere between late-night deployments and cold coffee, she became my closest friend. I told myself that was all she was. My boss, my mentor, my safe person at work. My heart did not listen. That Friday, the sky looked wrong all afternoon. Dark and heavy, like the whole city was holding its breath. By 5 o'clock, most people had rushed out, trying to beat the rain. I stayed a little longer to check one last push. I could hear Emma in my head telling me, "Always test twice before the weekend." When I finally packed up and took the elevator down, the sound of the storm hit me first. Rain slammed against the glass doors in thick sheets. The streetlights outside were just blurry halos. She was standing there in the lobby, near the doors, staring at her phone. Her dark brown hair was damp at the ends. A few drops clung to her blouse. Her work badge still hung around her neck. When she looked up and saw me, her blue eyes softened in a way I knew too well. "Still here?" I asked, shifting my backpack on my shoulder. "Yeah," she said with a sigh. "My car is in the shop. Transmission issues. I have been trying to get a ride, but no one is picking up. Ride shares are slammed." I held up my keys. "Lucky for you, my old Honda is downstairs. I can drive you. I am not scared of a little rain." She bit her lip, thinking, "You sure? I do not want to be a problem. You probably just want to go home and crash." "If I go home alone, I will just stare at my laptop again," I said. "Let me feel useful at least once this week." That got a small smile out of her. "All right, I accept your noble chauffeur service." We ran to the elevator, then to the parking garage, dodging puddles. My Honda sat in its usual corner, beat up but loyal. She slid into the passenger seat, hugging her bag to her chest. I started the engine, and the heater hummed to life. Outside, the rain hit the windshield in a steady roar. Inside, it was warm and close. I could smell wet air and her light perfume. For a while, we just drove and listened to the wipers. She found a soft indie station on the radio and turned it down low. Headlights smeared across the wet road as we crawled through traffic. "Thanks again," she said after a few minutes. "Feels like I am always dragging you into extra stuff. Late nights, emergency fixes. Now this. If it were not for you, I would still be eating alone in that dark corner of the break room," I said. "You pulled me out for tacos that one time, remember? You saved my social life." She laughed. "You make a good sidekick, Alex. Reliable, quiet, smarter than people think." Sidekick. I put a hand to my chest. "That hurts," I thought. We were co-main characters by now. Her smile lingered. "Maybe you are," she said, looking back out at the rain. We talked while the city crawled by. Old work stories, stupid bugs, little moments that suddenly felt big in that small car. I told her about leaving the Midwest and how strange it was to move to a rainy city where I knew no one. She told me about her first job and how they almost did not take her seriously until she proved she could outwork everyone in the room. By the time we reached her neighborhood on the edge of the city, the storm was even worse. Water rushed along the curbs. Trees shook in the wind. I pulled up in front of her small beige house. The porch light glowed through the downpour. "Seriously, you are a lifesaver," she said as she unbuckled. "But look at that. You really think it is smart to drive all the way back now?" I looked at the dark, slick road ahead. It did not look great. I will be fine, I said. I drive careful. She watched the rain for a second, then turned back to me. There was concern in her eyes. And something else I could not name. If you are not in a rush, come in for dinner, she said. I have stuff for pasta. It is the least I can do. My stomach answered before I did. You sure? I do not want to crash your Friday night. You already rescued it, she said. Come on. We sprinted from the car to her front door, laughing as the rain soaked our shoes. Inside, her house wrapped around me like a warm blanket. Soft lamps, calm paintings on the walls, shelves of books, a few healthy plants. It felt lived in, warm, and real in a way my own place never had. Make yourself at home, she said, kicking off her shoes. You are soaked. I will grab you a dry shirt. She handed me an old concert shirt and pointed to the bathroom. When I came back, she was in the kitchen pulling pasta and tomatoes out of the fridge. You were not kidding about the pasta? I said, leaning against the counter. You are on chopping duty, she said, handing me a knife. No complaints. We cooked shoulder to shoulder in her small kitchen. The space made us stand close. Our arms brushed as we reached for things. We laughed when the sauce splashed on the stove and both reached for the same towel. The whole house started to smell like garlic and basil. We ate at the small table by the window, watching the rain run down the glass in silver lines. There was a show on in the corner, but we barely looked at it. We talked instead, not as lead and Dev, but as two people with tired hearts who were finally letting someone else see them. By the time we finished washing dishes, it was late. The storm still roared outside. The windows rattled now and then. She stood in the living room, looking from the door to the couch. I could see the moment she made a choice. She took a slow breath and turned to me. You really should not drive in this, she said. It is bad out there. Why do you not just stay here tonight? I can pull out the sofa bed. I have extra blankets. My heart slammed against my ribs. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and careful. I met her eyes, felt that pull in my chest, and heard myself answer. I will stay, I said, but I am not sleeping on the sofa. Emma went still when I said it. The room felt tighter. The storm outside filled the silence between us. Her eyes searched my face like she was trying to figure out who I was all over again. You are not, she said slowly, sleeping on the sofa. My throat went dry, but I did not look away. My heart was knocking so hard it hurt. I mean, I added fast. You take the bed, I will take the floor. That couch is way too short. My feet will hang off the edge, and I will wake up broken. The floor and a blanket is better than that. For half a second, her lips stayed pressed in a flat line. Then she let out a breath and laughed, soft and shaky. She picked up a pillow from the couch and tossed it at my chest. You had me there, she said. I thought you were. Making a very bold move. I caught the pillow and tried to act cool, even though my face was hot. I am not that brave. Her smile softened. Not yet, she said under her breath. The words were so quiet I almost missed them. Almost. She turned and pulled out the sofa bed anyway. The metal frame creaked as it unfolded. We worked side by side spreading sheets and straightening the mattress. The house had gone quiet except for the rain and the low jazz still playing from a small speaker. When we were done, she stepped back and looked at the bed like she was checking it for bugs. You sure you are okay out here? She asked. I can take the couch, and you can have my room if you want. I am good, I said. This is already more than I expected when I walked out of the office today. She nodded, a small smile at the corner of her mouth. Okay then, let me grab you an extra blanket. My place gets cold when it rains like this. She walked down the hall. I sat on the edge of the pullout and listened to the storm. It was strange. I had seen Emma in so many hard moments at work, leading tense calls, pushing back in meetings, calling out bad ideas and sloppy work. Here, in her house in soft light, she felt different, warmer, closer, real. She came back with a thick gray blanket and draped it over the foot of the bed. If you need anything, water, charger, whatever, just knock, she said. I am right down the hall, first door on the right. Got it, I said. She hesitated for a second, like there was more she wanted to say. Then she looked at me again, her voice softer. Alex, she said, thank you for tonight, for the ride, for staying. It has been a long week. It is nice not feeling alone in it for once. My chest tightened. You are not alone, I said. Not at work. Not now. Her eyes softened in a way that made it hard to breathe. The air between us felt thick. Good night, she said. Try not to overthink every line of code you wrote this week while you sleep. No promises, I said. She shook her head with a small smile and turned off the main light. A lamp by the couch stayed on, painting the room in warm gold. I watched her walk down the hall and close her door with a soft click. I lay down on the pullout and pulled the blanket up to my chest. The mattress was thin, but it did not matter. The steady drum of rain and the quiet of her house wrapped around me. Somewhere down the hall, she moved around her room, a soft sound now and then. It was strange comfort, just knowing she was there. I told myself this was just a practical choice. Bad roads, a spare bed, nothing more. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. I fell asleep to the storm and the low hum of the heater. When I woke up, the light in the room was soft and gray. For a few seconds, I stared at the ceiling, confused by the paintings on the walls and the unfamiliar couch. Then I smelled it. Toast, eggs, coffee. My stomach made its own decision. I pushed the blanket away and sat up. My back ached just a little, but it was fine. The sofa bed had done its job. I tried to fold it back, but it groaned loudly, and I gave up. Morning, Emma called from the kitchen. You alive out there? Barely, I called back. But the coffee smell is helping. I walked into the kitchen and stopped. The small table was set. Scrambled eggs, toast, a small bowl of fruit, 2 glasses of orange juice, and a pot of coffee. She stood by the stove in a soft beige sweater and jeans, her hair up in a loose bun. No makeup, no badge. Just Emma. How did the couch treat you? She asked, turning toward me with a smile. Not too brutal, I hope. Better than it looks, I said. Honestly, this is the most put-together breakfast I have seen in months. She laughed and nodded toward the chair. Sit. Eat. You have a long day of staring at screens to fuel. I sat and took a bite. The eggs were warm and fluffy. The toast was perfect. Simple food, but it tasted like care. We ate slower than we ever did at the office. No rushing. No reminders. No slack pings. You make it look easy, I said at one point, looking at her over my coffee. The job. The pressure. The meetings. Everyone leans on you like you never get tired. She looked down at her mug, turning it between her hands. When she spoke, her voice was softer. It is not easy, she said. Some days I sit in my car for 10 minutes before I can walk inside. I have to be strong in that office. If I slip, someone is ready to decide I do not belong there. If I show how heavy it feels, people stop listening and call it emotional. There was something raw in her eyes that I had never seen. It helps having someone on the team who does not make it harder, she added. You do not chase credit. You do not throw people under the bus. You just quietly show up. I noticed that. Warmth spread through my chest. I get it more than you think, I said. Different reasons, same weight. I know what it feels like to act fine, so no one starts asking questions you do not want to answer. We held each other's gaze for a moment. The silence felt like a bridge, not a wall. After breakfast, I stood up and took our plates to the sink. I will wash, I said. You are a guest, she said. You do not have to. I want to, I said. She gave in. I washed while she dried. The faucet dripped a little, so I offered to check it. She pointed me to a small toolbox in the hall closet. I knelt under the sink and tightened a loose piece. I swapped out a flickering bulb above the stove. Later, I opened her laptop and cleared out junk files that were slowing it down. You are a secret handyman, she said. Leaning in the doorway with her arms crossed, a light look in her eyes. If I had known that, I would have faked a leak months ago. It is the least I can do after getting a free bed and a 5-star breakfast, I said. Her gaze softened again. You are more than just a good teammate, you know, she said. You make my life easier in ways you probably do not see. That stayed with me even after we left. She grabbed her bag. We locked the door and walked out to my car. The rain had faded to a light mist. The streets were shiny and bright. The ride to the office was quieter than the night before, but it was not a bad quiet. It felt like words were sitting closer to the surface now. When I pulled into the lot, she unbuckled and turned toward me. Thank you again, she said. For staying. For listening. For fixing half my house. Anytime, I said. She hesitated, then reached out and touched my arm for a second. I liked having you there, she said. It felt good. I did not trust my voice, so I just nodded. She smiled, got out of the car, and walked toward the building. I watched her go, thinking that maybe, just maybe, last night had been the start of something neither of us knew how to name. I kept that warm feeling with me as I walked in later, coffee in hand, ready to face the week. It lasted until about 10:30. I was in the break room pouring a cup when I heard two people from QA talking by the counter. Their voices were low, but not low enough. "He came in with her again," one said. "Pretty cozy for a team lead and her favorite dev." The other laughed. "Must have been some code review." They glanced at me, then back at each other, like I was a joke on a screen. My hand tightened around the cup. I walked out before I said something I would regret. In the hallway, my phone buzzed. Our team's unofficial Slack channel was lighting up. "Anyone else see Alex roll up with Emma this morning carpooling? Or something more? Bet he had a long night of bug fixing at her place." There were laughing reactions and little winks. My chest burned as I stared at the screen. The warm memory of last night twisted into something sharp. They had no idea what really happened. They still had a story, and it was about to hit both of us. At first, I told myself to ignore it. People gossip. People get bored. It would fade. It did not. By the time our afternoon stand-up started, I could feel eyes on me from different corners of the room. Our team gathered around the big monitor. Emma stood at the front, tablet in hand, walking us through sprint goals and timelines like she always did. Her voice was clear and steady, but I noticed a tightness in her jaw that had not been there before. When she wrapped up, Mark, a senior engineer who loved hearing himself talk, leaned back in his chair and smirked. "This sprint is going real smooth," he said. "Must be nice having such a strong partnership between the lead and her star player." A few people chuckled. Some looked at the floor. My stomach twisted. Emma's fingers tightened just a little around the tablet. "Thanks, Mark," she said. "Our whole team worked hard on this. Any blockers on your side we should know about." He cleared his throat, suddenly serious, and moved on. But the damage was done. The joke hung in the air like a bad smell. After the meeting, people drifted away in small groups. I stayed back. So did Emma. She closed out Windows on the big screen and set the tablet down on the table. I walked over. "Hey," I said quietly. "You okay?" She let out a long breath and gave me a tired half smile. "I am fine," she said. "It is just noise. I have heard worse." "It is not right," I said. "They have no idea what they are talking about." "I know," she said. "But this is how it goes. A woman in charge, a guy she works well with. Suddenly, it is not about skill. It is stories." She tried to sound light, but I could hear the strain under her words. That afternoon, it got worse. In the kitchen, I passed two people from design. "If I was on her team, I would be mad," one said. "Hard to compete when the boss has a favorite." "Maybe that is how you get on the good projects," the other replied. My chest burned. They were not just talking about me now. They were making her hard work sound dirty. Later, two guys from engineering caught me by the coffee machine. They were grinning too wide. "So," one said, "you and Emma. Must be nice having the boss's ear in her driveway." The other snorted. I set my mug down harder than I meant to and looked right at them. "There is nothing going on that is any of your business," I said. "If you have a problem with our work, bring it up in review. The rest is not okay." Their smiles faded. "Relax, man," one said. "Just joking." "Yeah," the other added. "Do not be so serious." I walked away before my anger boiled over. Near the end of the day, my phone buzzed. A message from Emma. "Balcony. 2 minutes. Need air." I took the stairs up to the second floor and pushed open the door to the small concrete balcony that looked over the parking lot. The rain had slowed to a mist. The air was cold and smelled like wet pavement. She stood by the railing, hands in her jacket pockets, staring down at the cars. When she heard the door close, she turned toward me. Her eyes looked different. Tired. Hurt. Not from work. From people. "This is getting old fast," she said quietly. "I can handle pressure. I can handle deadlines. But this feels different." I moved closer, but not too close. "I am sorry," I said. "This is my fault. If I had not driven you. If I had not stayed." "Stop," she said, shaking her head. "None of this is your fault. We did nothing wrong. You gave me a ride in a storm. You slept on a pull-out couch. That is not a scandal. That is basic human kindness." Her breath came out in a small cloud in the cold air. "I worked so hard to be taken seriously here," she went on. "Late nights. Extra work. Swallowing stupid comments. And now one simple ride home turns into people acting like I sleep my way through my job." Anger flared in me, sharp and clear. Not for me. For her. "We can fix this," I said. "I will talk to them. I will tell them to stop." You should not have to, she said. And I do not want this to land on you. Your career is still early. I do not want people thinking you get ahead just because your lead likes you. The words hit me in two ways at once. The part about my career, and the part about her liking me. If it gets worse, she said softly, maybe I should ask to move you to another team. Not because I want distance, because I do not want to hurt you. The thought hit like a punch. Working without her. No more morning jokes. No more late night calls. No more calm voice on the other end when the system went down. I do not want to move, I said. I like working with you. I trust you. I am not going to run just because some people are bored and need a story. She turned to face me fully then. The faint mist dotted her hair and lashes. So what do we do? She asked. I took a breath. We do not hide, I said. We keep things professional like we always have. We let our work speak. And if people cross a line, we call it out. She watched me for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Tomorrow I am going to talk to our department head, she said. I will lay it all out. The jokes. The comments. All of it. I will make it clear that I am committed to this team and to a clean line between work and my personal life. If he is worth anything, he will listen. And I will back you up, I said. If someone says something in chat, I will not laugh it off. I will answer it in front of everyone. She looked down at my hands, then back at my face. There was a small, proud look in her eyes. You are braver than you think, Alex, she said. I thought you said I was just a sidekick. I tried to joke. Maybe I was wrong, she said. Maybe you are one of the main characters after all. The next day, she went into the department head's office with her shoulders straight and her jaw set. I watched her from my desk, my stomach tight. When she came out later, she walked straight to me. Went better than I expected, she said in a low voice. He said he will keep an eye on things. He reminded me I have earned my place here. That meant something. That afternoon, the unofficial Slack lit up again. One more joke about our carpool. A few laughing emojis. This time, I answered. Speculation is not fact, I typed. Emma and I work hard and keep things professional. Maybe focus on your tickets instead of our commute. My message sat under the joke, clear and calm. A few people reacted with surprised faces. No one added more jokes. The thread went quiet. The next team meeting, our boss spoke for a minute about respect. About keeping personal comments out of work channels. No names. No pointing. But people got the point. The whispers did not vanish in a day. But they faded. Deadlines came back. New bugs. New drama. People moved on. What stayed was something else. A new kind of trust between Emma and me. We met each other's eyes across the room more often now. A quiet check-in. Are you okay? I am here. Work settled into a new rhythm. A big back-end project rolled in with a brutal timeline. Emma went into full lead mode. Clean tickets. Strong plans. No wasted words. I matched her pace. The team followed. We pushed hard for weeks. Late nights. Fast dinners. Quick jokes in between code reviews. When the numbers came back, they were better than anyone expected. Error rates dropped. Users were happy. At the next all hands, our department head pulled up a slide with our team's results. Emma and Alex led this from the front, he said. It is a good reminder that focus and trust matter more than noise. People clapped. No one joked. Some even turned to give us real smiles. Emma's eyes found mine across the room. There was pride there. Quiet and shared. After that, the storm inside the office calmed down. A new wave of hires came in. New stories started. The whole thing with the ride in the rain became a small detail, half forgotten. But outside the office, something else grew. Weekends began to shift. I drove to her place more often, sometimes with bags of groceries. We cooked together in that same small kitchen, brushing shoulders as we moved. She handled sauces. I handled the grill on her tiny back patio, standing under an umbrella while Portland drizzle tried to ruin our plans. Other times we stayed inside with takeout and old movies. She spread a blanket on the couch. We sat close, sharing popcorn from one bowl. Half the time we talked through the movie, pausing it to argue about endings or laugh at bad acting. Every little thing added weight to something we still had not named. Months later, another late-night deploy kept us at the office. A big client. A last-minute bug. The floor was empty. Screens glowed in the dark. Outside, rain started again, tapping the windows. We fixed the problem side by side, like always. When the build finally went green, it was almost 11. Well, she said with a long sigh, leaning back in her chair. We did it again. I owe you dinner times 10. You already paid in eggs and toast, I said. I think we are even. We rode the elevator down together. The lobby doors slid open to a wall of rain. Worse than that first night. The street lights blurred into streaks in the downpour. You have got to be kidding me, I said. She looked out, then back at me. I drove today, she said. You took the bus. My place is closer than yours in this. Come with me. I can get us both there, and you will not be stuck waiting for a bus that never shows. You sure? I asked. She raised an eyebrow. I am not leaving you standing here, she said. We ran to her car, soaked by the time we reached it. The ride was short but slow. The rain hammered the windshield. The wipers fought to keep up. Inside, it felt like that first storm again. Just us in our own small world. When we pulled into her driveway, the porch light glowed through the rain. My heart did that small jump it always did now when I saw her house. It did not feel like just her place anymore. It felt familiar, almost like home. Inside, she tossed her keys down and kicked off her shoes. I followed her into the living room as she turned on the soft lamps. The paintings on the walls, the books, the plants, the same couch. All the pieces of that first night were still there, waiting. She walked to the window and watched the rain for a moment. Her shoulders rose and fell as she took a breath. Then she turned back to me. Her eyes had that same mix I had seen before. Nerves, courage, hope. Do you want to stay here tonight? She asked. The words were the same as the first time. The way she said them was not. There was no easy excuse about the roads now. No half smile. She was not just asking about the storm. My chest tightened. I looked at the couch, then back at her. I will stay, I said. My voice was steady, but my heart was racing. I took a breath and let the next words out. And I am still not sleeping on the sofa. This time I did not hide behind a joke. I did not rush to save myself with a line about the floor or my long legs. I just stood there, the sound of the rain filling the room, my heart pounding. Emma watched me carefully. For a second, her face was still. Then I saw it. The way her shoulders relaxed. The way her eyes softened and warmed at the same time. The way her lips parted like she had been holding her breath. She took a slow step closer. Then where are you sleeping, Alex? She asked. Her voice was quiet, but steady. I swallowed and forced myself not to look away. Where you are? I said. If you want that too. I do not want to pretend anymore that this is just rides and storms and code. I care about you. Not just as my lead. Not just as my friend. I want this to be real. The room went silent except for the rain beating on the glass. She looked up at me like she was seeing every version of me at once. The new dev she trained. The teammate who stayed late. The guy on her couch. The man in front of her now. She lifted her hand and touched my cheek, her thumb tracing the edge of my jaw like she was trying to remember every detail. I have been trying not to cross this line for a long time, she said. I told myself it would be easier to keep you as just my smartest dev. Just my calm voice in chaos. But every time you show up, every time you fix something I did not even ask about, every time you listen, it gets harder to pretend. A small, shaky laugh slipped out of her. Yes, she said. I want it too. Something in my chest finally let go. All the late nights, all the quiet looks, all the times I stopped myself from saying too much, they all washed through me at once. I stepped closer. She tilted her head up. Our foreheads touched for a second, and we just breathed the same air. Then I kissed her. It was not some perfect movie scene. There was no slow turn, no big music. It was simple and real. Years of trust and held back feelings pressed into one soft, careful kiss. Her hand slid to the back of my neck. Mine rested at her waist. The world narrowed down to the feel of her and the sound of the rain. When we pulled back, her eyes were bright. She let her head rest against my chest for a moment. I knew she could feel how fast my heart was going. So, she said softly, the hint of a smile in her voice. No sofa. No sofa, I said. Ever again. We did not rush the rest of the night. We moved through it the way we had moved through everything together. Steady, careful, as a team. She handed me another soft shirt and pointed me to the bathroom. I washed my face, stared at myself in the mirror for a second, and almost laughed. Same guy, same messy hair. But everything felt different now. When I came back, the living room was dim and warm. The pull-out couch was still open, but my bag now sat beside it, like a small reminder of where this all started. The hallway behind her felt like a new chapter. Leave your stuff there, she said. You can grab it in the morning. We turned off the lights one by one. the lamp by the couch, the light in the kitchen. The house settled into a soft glow from the hallway. This time, when we walked down the hall, we walked side by side. Later, lying in her bed with the window cracked open and the sound of rain drifting in, I stared at the ceiling and thought about how far we had come. From that first late ride in a storm to quiet breakfasts in this kitchen. From ugly office whispers to standing up for each other on a cold balcony. From a pull-out couch and a borrowed concert shirt to this. I turned my head. She was already looking at me. Her hair was spread across the pillow. Her eyes were soft and a little tired, but calm. Tired? She asked. Happy, I said. She smiled and reached for my hand under the blanket. Our fingers laced together like they had always been meant to fit that way. Life did not suddenly turn perfect after that night. The office did not turn into a dream. We still had bad days. We still had bugs that broke at the worst times. We still had late-night deploys that made our eyes burn. We still had Portland rain that ruined plans and soaked our shoes when we forgot umbrellas. Sometimes the old whispers tried to crawl back in new forms. A look here, a raised eyebrow there. But now it was different. We had already walked through that storm together. We were open with our boss at the right time. We kept our work sharp and clean. Emma stayed the same strong, clear lead. I stayed the same quiet, steady dev. We did not hold hands at our desks or trade special treatment. We just kept doing what we did best, side by side. Only now, at the end of the day, when the lights dimmed and laptops closed, I did not go home to an empty apartment. Most nights I drove with her, or she rode with me. Sometimes we took my old Honda. Sometimes we took her car. Sometimes we walked together under one umbrella. Weekends settled into a new pattern. Her house became ours in small ways. I kept a hoodie on a hook by her door. She kept a spare toothbrush at my place, even though we both knew we preferred hers. We made lists together. Grocery lists. Fix-it lists. Movie lists. Little normal things that somehow felt huge. We still cooked in her small kitchen, shoulder to shoulder. She still teased me about my knife skills. I still fixed things that creaked or flickered. We still argued about movies on the couch and still talked through half of them. The difference was that at the end of the night, when the credits rolled and the rain started again outside, there was no question about where I would sleep. We would turn off the lights, walk down the hall together, and leave the couch empty. At work, we learned how to move together in this new way. We drew clear lines. In meetings, she was my lead and I was her developer. On calls, we kept it sharp and focused. People saw the results. They saw our team hit numbers, ship clean builds, and support each other. Somebody once joked again in a chat about how smooth we worked. Another little hint that there must be something more. This time, one of our teammates answered before we could. Maybe they just do their jobs well, she wrote. Wild idea. I saw Emma's name pop up with a simple smiling emoji. My chest warmed. We were not alone anymore. People had watched us walk through the mess and come out still standing. It changed how they saw us and maybe how they saw themselves. We still struggled. Emma still had days where she sat in the car before work, breathing deep. I still had days where my brain refused to untangle a bug and I felt like a fraud. But now, on those days, we came home to the same place. We had someone to hand a mug of tea to. Someone to say, "You did enough today. Sit down." One night, months later, the rain came down hard again. It hit the windows in thick streaks, louder than usual. The sound pulled me back for a second to that first storm, that first ride, that first careful question. Emma was curled against my side on the couch, a blanket around both of us. The movie was paused. We had drifted into talking instead, like we always did. She glanced toward the window and smiled. "Do you remember that first night?" she asked. "When I asked you to stay?" "Yeah," I said. "I remember you telling me I could take the sofa." She laughed. "I remember you saying you were not sleeping on it." I turned to look at her. Her eyes were warm and bright in the low light. "I meant it then," I said. "I mean it more now." She watched me for a moment, then rested her head against my shoulder. "You know," she said softly, "I once asked you if you wanted to stay here tonight." "Yeah," I said. "You did." "Now," she said, "I do not have to ask." I turned, kissed the top of her head, and tightened my arm around her. I was not sleeping on the sofa. I was home.
If this story stayed with your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.